20 years later, his wife messaged, "Throwaway. I'm so ashamed of myself. About 20 years ago I had a relationship with a married man who was 26 years older than me. I was single and in my early 20s. He was married with a daughter my age. We met at work and started a relationship that lasted a few months. We went on a trip together and I ended the relationship shortly after that trip when he started talking about leaving his wife and making our relationship more serious. I don't honestly remember a lot of details, but I do remember being as ashamed of myself then as I am now. At the time, I had just lost my father and had just gone through a nasty breakup where I lost a lot of my friends. I mention these things not to justify my actions but to point out that I was not in a healthy place, and I look at this relationship as the beginning of a downward spiral that lasted a decade or more." His wife recently sent me a private message on social media saying she had just found out about this affair 2 weeks ago. That she knew about other affairs of her husband's but never one where he'd traveled with his mistress. She outlined some other details in her message, asked why I did it, said I had a beautiful family and hoped I never had to experience what she has. She articulated how much pain she was in and asked me to pray for her. I don't know what to do. Should I respond? She didn't specifically express a desire for a response. I don't know what to say and I don't want to come across like I'm defending my actions. But I am sorry to have caused her so much pain. My husband says I should just ignore it. It happened 20 years. But she's in pain now over something I did a long time ago and I just don't know the right thing to do. I've never done anything like that since and have worked really hard in therapy and recovery programs to get to where I am today. But it still happened and I regret it. Should I respond to her message? In my opinion, yes. Even if it happened 20 years ago, she just found out, it's fresh. Acknowledge her feelings, apologize. The sad reality is that if it wasn't you it would have been others. It's her husband's fault the most. Your husband said let it go and I think you should, but if your conscience is troubling you to the extent that you want to respond, then tender a subtle apology and yes, do pray for her and do hope that what she's going through doesn't happen to you. Or she can take your apology and post it all over social media. Tread carefully. I would repeat what you just said in this post to her. Wish you all the best, give the woman the closure she wants, don't be heartless. I was going to say something but then got to the part where the wife mentioned he had multiple affairs. As usual, the scorned woman is coming after the other women and not going after her own husband. Let me guess, the wife is still married to the serial cheater? Ignore it. Let her have that last word. I think it was just important for her to express how she felt and sometimes that's enough for people. For an ex of mine, I sent him a long message about how he hurt me then blocked him after because his response wasn't important. Him knowing how I felt was important. Nothing you say will ease her pain, but you can definitely make it worse depending on how you respond. This is between her and her husband, which hopefully becomes her ex-husband. Honestly, repeat everything you said here. You were young and dumb, and that kind of age, power difference was predatory, especially given the point of your life you were in. You're certainly not blameless, but he's the one who cheated. Explain that you regret your part in hurting her and that you learned from it and never did it again. She reached out to you, so she clearly wants answers. She deserves at least that much. And prepare yourself in case she reacts poorly to your words. Keep in mind she's going through hell and will not be in a great state of mind, similar to you when you slept with a married man. I think it's wise to let her have the last word. Got in a gut punch that makes her feel a little better. I think she deserves that. Your response will rob her of that. 29. Don't like the way my wife, 26, dresses around my brother, 22. 5 months ago my brother was laid off. He burned through his savings till he couldn't afford to pay his rent and was kicked out. I offered for him to move in with us since we had a spare guest room till he finds a job and gets his own place again. That was a month ago. He found a job last week but obviously it'll take a month or two before he has enough to move out. My wife didn't have an issue with my brother moving in. They didn't really know each other that well. But after my brother moved in they were arguing constantly. It was dumb stuff like my wife drinking his almond milk, my brother not buying toilet paper, etc. etc. My main issue is that my wife always dresses down around the house. She'll usually wear shorts and a t-shirt without a bra, or she'll wear just her shorts and no bra if she's walking to the bathroom, etc. Stuff that makes her comfortable. I asked her when he moved in if for the time being she could cover up because I wasn't all right with her walking around him like that. And she did for about a week before she started dressing like she did before. We got into a few fights about that. She doesn't see an issue with the way she dresses. I told her I didn't want her to walk around topless or even in just her underwear around him. But she says I'm overreacting and that I'm making a big deal out of nothing. I honestly don't know anymore if I'm overreacting or not. Yeah, I'm confused by these comments. No bra. Yes. You're not going to tell me to wear a bra in my house for your comfort. But tits out swinging in the wind topless? That's a big no. Okay, you need to specify that she is topless. That is different. It sounds like you're just upset over her not wearing a bra and shorts. The shirt, shorts minus bra is one thing, but topless? Yeah, that's not normal. Your wife shouldn't be topless. But what's your plan for getting your brother out? Your wife should be allowed to be comfortable in her own home. If it's just her not wearing a bra, nah, get over it. But if she's walking around topless, her boobs all hanging out? In front of your brother? Then yeah, I get that. That's not cool and she should stop it. It's a t-shirt and then topless. I dunno, guys, this seems like some bullshit. Also, in one comment, Op says braless with a t-shirt is equally as bad as topless. Just seems like bullshit that the mods should remove. You're not overreacting. Most women wouldn't need their partner to ask them not to walk around topless when there's a guest staying in the house. It would just come naturally to cover up more when the other person is around. She's either become comfortable with having your brother there and has gone back to her old habits, or she likes the thought of him seeing her that way. Oh, I've seen this movie, lol. Just found out my husband is spending $1,000 a month on Madden. I just looked at his transaction history and he spent $4,500 on his stupid fucking Madden football game in the last 6 months. We have an 8-month-old baby together. I was wondering why he hasn't put any money into savings. Now I know where it's all going. I'm fucking shaking with rage. He gets off work in about an hour. What the hell do I do? How is this possible? Okay. Deep breaths. It sounds like your husband may have a gaming problem. Hopefully he will admit and accept this and seek some help. Sad face. He's gambling on their loot boxes, and he's addicted to playing the odds to get the right skin he wants. This is a big problem with some gamers, kids especially, and is very similar to playing slots or video poker in a casino. EA is notorious for this and got a lot of bad press, along with most gaming companies. I would delete the card info from his accounts and cancel his card. Then have a serious talk with him about this. Then keep a close watch on your guy's account. Good luck and involve family and friends if he resists. I've gotta say, considering you cheated on your husband of 10 years with this loser, this is some nice karma to read. You guys really belong together. Enjoy the life you chose. That's a pretty ridiculous amount to spend on a video game. I completely understand your frustration, especially when you have a kid to be taken care of. Before he gets home, try to think of ways to frame a conversation that is productive and minimally angry. It's very tempting to curse and yell, but it ultimately just makes it a worse situation than it needs to be. Seriously though, how do you even spend that much? Dude better be ranked number 1. I'm going to assume y'all make decent dollar for him to do this, but damn, that's a lot of dollar for Madden. He is buying those ultimate team packs for $100 a pop for the good ones. Karma is a bitch for walking out on your husband. What's on Madden that adds up that much? I don't play it, so I don't know. Is it a gambling addiction maybe? If so, he may need to talk to a professional. You guys are going to need to set up and stick to a budget. Bills and household expenses off the top, then divide the rest between savings, emergency money, and spending money for each of you. Maybe even have a separate bank account for fun money so you don't accidentally dip deeper than you mean to. If he really can't control himself, you may have to take control of the budget and have an account in your name only that you put the bill money into so he can't touch it. Guess the grass isn't greener on the other side. Only advice I have for you is to leave your ex-husband alone. Got invited to a bachelor party that's also attended by the guy my ex cheated with. Me, M29, Robert, M31, Chad, M31. About 7 years ago, my childhood friend Robert visited me and my GF, now ex. He brought over his friend Chad, who he'd been close friends with since high school. At the time we were all around 22–24 y. Ex and I had been together for about 1.5 years. We played games and got pretty drunk. Robert went to bed in the guest room we'd made for them, and I went to bed not long after that. Chad and my ex proceeded to get it on in the living room, on the couch, right next door to the bedroom while I was sleeping. Next morning Robert and Chad were gone and she told me what happened. Supposedly they only made out several times and he only fingered her. I asked Chad his version of the story over text. He expanded the story with how they decided he should go home, but before leaving they had sex in the hallway for half a minute before stopping. The way he wrote his version was like a messed-up romantic novel with sensual depictions, like he was reminiscing and getting off on writing it. It was enraging, and I told him I never wanted to see him again. I was a total wreck for almost 2 years. According to Robert, Chad was regretful, and some months later he asked if I was cool with them still being friends, and I said whatever, basically. I still hung out with Robert sporadically after that, but since the pandemic began we haven't seen each other, but still talk. Now I'm in a much better place and in a 4+ year relationship. We got invited to Robert's wedding this summer, and last night I was added to a group chat with a bunch of Robert's friends to plan a bachelor party. I just saw the notifications, and my stomach churned when I saw that Chad was replying and saying things like how it wouldn't have to get very expensive since everybody in the chat would split the bills, etc. etc. So he knows I'm in the chat. Should I tell the guy organizing the bachelor party, we've met several times before, to count me out? I am pretty sure he knows what happened, told either by me or Robert years ago, but perhaps he forgot. Or am I assumed to just go along with it? I can't imagine myself being any fun at all with Chad around. The mood, vibe, dynamic would be shit on what's supposed to be Robert's special day. Playing bubble soccer or renting a cabin for a weekend or whatever the hell else they've been brainstorming would just not sit right with me, acting as if nothing happened. In my mind, it's not my fault if I don't partake, it's Chad's fault. Right? I'm thinking I could plan something separate with just me and Robert instead, after they've had the bachelor party. Too long did not read. Childhood friend's bachelor's party is going to be attended by the same guy my ex cheated on me with. I don't want to partake since that would mean spending a whole day, weekend with him present. And #X200B. Edit. Worth noting that the bachelor party is only going to be 7 people if I go, so it wouldn't be easy to avoid him. If you're not comfortable with attending and you feel like you're going to have a bad time, don't go, and just plan something else one-to-one like you suggested. Yeah, that's kind of fucked up. Honestly, I would still not go. He's for sure going to get drunk and try to talk to you about it, lol. Yep, just say, sorry I'm not going because I don't want to ruin the vibe. Have a good time. Say that to the organizer in a side chat and leave the group thread. Real talk. Robert is not a good friend. A good friend would not have remained on good terms with Chad after what he did. I think the reason this is bothering you so much is that you know this and you know it may be time to move on from the friendship, or at least, scale it back. Not every friendship lasts into adulthood. This is most likely one of those friendships that just needs to exist purely on social media and via text. This is the consequence for Robert when he asked if it was okay that he still be friends with Chad. I don't blame you for saying, hey, you should drop that dude from your life, because who are you to make that decision for him? But it should be a foregone conclusion that the friend of Robert's who was wronged by another friend of his doesn't want to spend time in a group setting with said friend. Honestly, if Robert doesn't understand your position, I would just end that friendship. It's been a long time coming, to be honest. Go with your gut feeling. If you don't feel comfortable, then don't go. Robert will understand. However, will you attend the wedding? Personally, I wouldn't want to go, and I'd tell the organizer that I can't make it. You don't have to tell him why. Just make something up like you are going out of town with your girlfriend that weekend. I know I wouldn't be able to enjoy myself having to hang out with such a scumbag and have to be reminded of a very painful experience I had, even if in the past. Don't force yourself to go. You do you. Later on, you can tell Robert the real reason you weren't there. Hopefully he'll understand. How large is the bachelor party group, and how long is the event? If it's a large group, it shouldn't be too hard to avoid Chad, just like you'll have to at the wedding and reception, especially if it's only one night of drunken revelry. If it's a small group and a whole weekend, I guess Robert will understand if you give it a pass.